You guys hear about this crazy Redbeard guy? This guy. You've seen this guy? You've seen this guy. So, who in chat knows what astroturfing is? Anyone know that term? This is pretty common. As we all know, the right has a lot more money than the left does, on average. And because the right are, to a fault, talentless, insincere, inhuman monsters, they have a really difficult time producing cultural value that pulls people over. This is why basically all art is made, at the very least, by liberals and often by progressives. Because they have souls and conservatives don't. But, that doesn't mean... I'm generalizing a bit. Obviously there are some conservatives with artistic talent, but it is a very, very strong bias towards the left. So that means that if conservatives want to assert any kind of cultural influence, they usually have to do it through astroturfing. That's basically when you substitute authentic grassroots support for any piece of art, or anything really, with money from the top, and you pretend that it's just this big wave. So this guy, out of nowhere, just popped into existence and has been promoted by basically every far-right account on Twitter and conservatives broadly. This is because there were prior deals established. There was money traded behind the scenes. This was not just a random singer. This is an industry plant. It's not exactly new, and conservatives aren't the only ones who do it. But I wanted to take a look at this song because it's led to some discourse. Okay, so what do we know about this guy, apart from the fact that he's got a big red beard?
I've been selling my soul, working all day.
Well, immediately, what do we know? What can we find out? Well, he's got a set of pipes. Sounds good. Not gonna lie. Not gonna take that away. His voice sounds pretty great. Not gonna pretend that he doesn't have talent in the singing side of things. Obviously, I can't play the actual song because it's definitely copyrighted. The song is called Rich Men North of Richmond. Very catchy. And if you Google that, you can see, like, the effect of astroturfing is really evident, because there's, like, all, like, 1 day ago, 2 days ago, like, the whole wave of interest, just like a uniform wall pushed forward. This guy's Twitter account was made, like, a couple months ago, probably when these deals were initially struck. So I want to take a look at the lyrics, because I've been seeing a lot of people spewing complete horseshit about them. Look at that, we found the lyrics. Crazy. Sorry that I have to be the one to say them. Can't be his pearly voice, again, copyright. That's how it is. I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home, drown my troubles away. Alright, classic stuff, not exactly new or innovative as country music, or in fact music, goes. It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me and people like you. Wish I could wake up and it not be true, but it is, oh it is. Living in the new world with an old soul. Alright, cringe, right, But anyway, these rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just want to have total control. Want to know what you think, want to know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do, because your dollar ain't shit and it's taxed to no end because of the rich men north of Richmond. Richmond was the Confederate capital. This is Confederate apology, or Confederate, I don't know, eulogizing? It's the Confederacy. This is those damn Yanks north of the Mason-Dixon want to control us, which is funny because the Civil War was fought over the men south of Richmond literally wanting to control people, own people. Yeah, it's exactly, it's a yearning for the good old days, but I find it particularly insincere that it literally, like, one line after the other, it's those damn Northerners, those damn Unionists want to control people. Like it's a joke, This is one of the reasons why you have to be a little more, I guess, like, skeptical of anti-rich talking points, because here's the truth, folks. Basically, everyone hates the rich. Like, the only people who aren't rich, who don't hate the rich, are, like, weirdo neoliberal fiscal policy wonks and libertarians who think they'll be rich one day. It's basically human nature to hate the people above you because they're living it up and you're not. I'm pretty sure this guy owns a large farm. Oh, of course. Well, if he wasn't rich before, he is now because of all the money that he made being astroturfed, for sure. Everyone hates the rich. You have to know why people hate the rich. You have to understand what it is they're saying. Because apparently now Rich Vosh, he's referring to D.C. D.C. is north of Richmond. Yeah. But Richmond was the Confederate capital. D.C. was where the Union government was stationed. And Richmond was where the Confederate capital was stationed. It's a Southern country song where he's talking about how he's like pining for the olden days and how the men north of the Confederate capital, the Confederacy being known as the South, so north is the... Come on, guys, this is not subtle. This is barely even a dog whistle. Richmond is still the capital of Virginia. Yes, and it was also the capital of the Confederacy once Virginia seceded. Wait, really? Is this actually... Guys, you know that the American South and the country music it produces is like full of Confederate apologia, right? This isn't like a dog whistle, okay? You can literally just drive through the South and find a shit ton of Confederate flags everywhere. Songs and art and politicians who promote the Confederates. This isn't like a subtle thing or anything like that. I didn't think I'd get hung up on this point. This is a right-wing song, and he's talking about how the Richmond, okay, Richmond is the capital. It's not just that. It's the Confederacy north of that. Like, come on. I feel like this is very straightforward. I mean, we can move on if you want. The South of Virginia hates the North of Virginia because it's so different and doesn't fit in with the South. Okay. What about the North of Virginia does the South Virginia not like? What split do you think caused a cultural difference there? DC? And what do you think is most endemic to the disagreements between Richmond, the Confederate capital, and D.C., the Union capital? What historical divide might we be pointing to? I know about the split in Virginia. This is always Confederate shit. Chad has to be baiting. This is so obvious. They've never been to the South. Yeah, I have no idea what's going on right now. This isn't even remotely the end of this song. Lord knows they all just want to have total control, want to know what you think, want to know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do, because your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end because of rich men north of Richmond. I like the tax to no end, because I saw some people arguing that this was like a lefty populist song or something. This is just a Confederate marching song. They were all marching this one to the beat. Okay, hold on. I wish politicians would look out for minors, and not just minors on an island somewhere. Nice meme. Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milkin' welfare. All right, here we have our lefty populism, which is Reagan-era welfare queen fear-mongering. That's the real reason, actually, why your dollar ain't shit and it's taxed to no end. It's because of fat people on welfare. And he actually doubles down on this. Well, God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds. And this, if anything, I think is the death knell of the song. In terms of, like, any hope of being, like, about populism or about the working class or whatever else. Because in a song that's supposed to be, like, this deep reflection on what's wrong with the country, to dedicate not one, but 2 lines to... all these fat people are getting their food paid for. All that's a real social problem. You know, people using their EBT money to buy fudge to be fat. You know, this is a real thing that look, young men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground because all this damn country does is keep kicking them down. So we have sandwiched in between Epstein's Island and suicide two bits here on welfare queens. Can we get a picture of this guy? Well, the guy's not on welfare. He's being funded by conservative dark money groups. Again, like, the funny thing... So I could, like... The first argument that comes to my mind here is the idea of a Southern country singer going after fat people is really funny to me, considering that the, like, mascot of the South is a fat, folksy guy sitting on a wooden rocking chair on the porch of his, like, you know, 4,000 square foot home with, like, a giant cowboy hat or something. So the idea of, like, this being the target, you know. Now, the funny thing is, all right, I swear to God, I saw this last night. I hope I wasn't, like, in a delirious haze. I swear to God. So Oliver Anthony, that's the name of this guy.
On kicking them down. Lord, it is living in the new world with an old soul. These rich men know for Richmond, all that you do, 'cause your dollar ain't shit and it's taxed to no end, 'cause the rich men know the rich men.
Hold on.
I've been selling my soul, working all day.
Huh?
Overtime hours,
Huh?
bullshit pay.
Huh? Huh? You can read this a few ways if you want to, okay? But I'm just going to tell you what's happening here. This is not a real crowd of people. Because if it was, they just turned out to hear this musician who is known for one song that only became known a week ago, and he played half of it. Like, imagine like, oh man, we're going to all go to this outdoor concert being hosted by a guy who didn't exist until like 2 days ago. And he's going to play one song, and he's going to play half of it. Not the full song that he's known for. He didn't play the Welfare Queen part. He didn't play a lot of it. He skipped the sketchy part. Part of this, I think, is because even for conservatives, I really don't think the, well, God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bag of fudge rounds. I've been to the South, and y'all are lard asses, okay? I respect it. I respect you, for the lard at least, but you're fat as shit, okay? And a lot of you are poor, too. So, I feel like that part's not going to play so much with, like, with an audience, you know? But this is precisely what I mean by astroturfing. I like, again, so logistics-wise, if this guy actually was like a sudden sensation that popped up out of nowhere, and ignoring the fact that all of the conservative like movement like consolidated around promoting this guy, and his Twitter account was just made, and nobody has any idea who he was before this, and he's like now showing up to do shows and everything, and like he exists now, and then a bunch of people show up. He plays one half of a song. It lasts 1 minute and 39 seconds, just long enough that it fits as like an easy clip for social media. But what are these people out here for? Like, do you think that he did a full concert for 2 hours? No. It's all fake. These people were either paid to be here or were told to be here as part of their association with organizations that promote conservative issues, or they're here for another thing and were cajoled into being an audience for this clip. It's all astroturfed, baby. It's fake as shit. Yeah, here's his Wikipedia page. Oliver Anthony is an American country singer-songwriter. In August 2023, he released the single Rich Men North of Richmond independently. That's it. That page was created yesterday. He didn't exist yesterday. He was cloned. He starts the video with the line right after the welfare fudge part.
Men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground, 'cause all this damn country does.
Ah, son of a bitch, you're totally right. It auto-played the first couple of seconds on silent, so I thought that he was doing a refrain before he started the song partway through. Though I do still think it's notable that the clip cuts off there. Nah. I'll take the L on that one. I thought that he skipped that bit entirely, and the chorus for early on just skipped to the bit at the end. Loser, that's true. Give me the L. Hit me with the L. All of the shit that I said about astroturfing remains true, though. Does anyone even know if he has any other songs? Thank you. Does anyone even know? Like, is there an album? Wait, hold on. Oliver Anthony Spotify. There we go. There are some other songs. 900,000 monthly listeners. Wait, why does he have so few views? 1.9 million? Wait. That's like nothing. Is there another platform? It's all on iTunes? Okay. Oliver Anthony. Do people not use Spotify for music? Do they just use it for, like, podcasts? Apple Music. Okay, I don't know anything about Apple Music. iTunes is boomer shit, that's why. Yeah, that makes sense to me. I don't hear young people talk about iTunes. He has another song on YouTube. I mean, he has some other... oh, nice meme. He just joined Instagram in September 2022. Makes sense. No, iTunes doesn't show plays. Then how do you know how popular a song is? You don't? Okay, wait, hold on. Is this the reason why every single time conservatives say that a new song of theirs has topped the iTunes charts, they're saying iTunes and Apple Music? Is it because only boomers use these sites and all young people use Spotify? So they're like, man, dude, it's like saying they top like Facebook song plays or something. I didn't realize there was that much. So like, this is completely like opaque. There's no transparency because, dog, 1.9 million views on Spotify is not a lot. Like, I'm not saying it's nothing, obviously, but it's not a huge amount. Always look at Spotify. Well, it's not here. What about YouTube? Oliver Anthony Music. There we go. On YouTube, it has some views, 9.5 million. When I first came across Oliver Anthony and his music, I was blown away, to say the least. He has a whole collection of songs I could listen to for hours. Oliver resides in Farmville, really, VA, with his 3 dogs and a plot of land he plans on turning into a small farm to raise livestock. We have a whole mess of songs set to release of Oliver for your viewing and listening pleasure. Top reply right here, Awaken with JP. This is that guy that used to be like in healthy living, like vegan woo-woo hippie nut, who like hardcore shifted into like religious conspiracism. This isn't even just the YouTube channel of the guy. They've been posting other country music for a while. Do they just post country music? Is this a production company? Radio WV, Radio West Virginia, was created by 2 broke college students with a passion for soulful and real music. We see the vast array of talent within our region and want to create a platform so we could share with the world. Fuck, wait, do you think that a bunch of these other guys are doing their own, like, conservative bit? Like this is the production company that's running the AstroTurf, so they're trying to see, like, what pops, and if something does pop, then it gets the deals, and then it works? Like, the content mill has been building towards this entire time? It might not be. It could be that these people are doing an actual production company bit, and that just happened to get picked up. Vosh Conspiracy Brain. This shit happens all the time. Like, the music industry, even, like, leaving aside conservative stuff, it could be either. Though a lot of this just looks like... I don't think that conservatives would ever get behind anyone who looks like this. This guy looks like iDubbbz. This guy looks like iDubbbz doing a bit, like making fun of another YouTuber. The Blazer saying it's #1 on iTunes. Oliver Anthony soars to #1 on iTunes with Blue Collar Anthem. Yeah, okay. Okay, so I didn't realize that the iTunes chart was this much of a joke. I don't know anything about anything. The Jenkins twins, Lamau, this is so fake. It is kind of weird how it seems to be like anyone, right? Like they don't really concentrate on one artist. They just produce like 1 or 2 songs from each artist. That is kind of weird. I don't know what arrangement that would be. If they're a production company, like, do they just do highlights? Or I don't really know. It's a music publicity page. This is normal. Just so they just pull, like, they just host the stuff? Oliver Anthony's own YouTube channel doesn't have that much attention going to it. Here's the clip of them playing the Richmond, north of Richmond live at Morris Farm Market, which, that's interesting. Look at that. This clip right here is the same length. It's the same video as the one we saw on Twitter, the one that skips the welfare queen lines. That's kind of odd. Man, this guy really incredibly red beard. Go to his playlists, click the playlist, videos that make your noggin bigger, then scroll to the bottom. He has videos saved about dancing Israelites. What? 9/11 dancing Israelis in urban moving systems, ABC News 2020 preview. June 21st, 2002. From Truther TV.
In the days after the September attacks, there were countless rumors about strange coincidences surrounding the events. One report about a group of Middle Eastern men spotted the morning of September 11th parked just across the river from New York City has not gone.
Some folks don't know what you mean. A relatively obscure, but it used to be more commonly said, Nazi dog whistle, was the dancing Israelis one. The idea was that after 9/11, there was like a report that some Israeli guys were dancing in a circle. It is really that stupid. It's literally like 9/11 happened, and at some point in the time after, there were some guys dancing and they were Israeli. That's it. That's the entire conspiracy. And they, of course, believe that's because the Jews orchestrated 9/11 and they were dancing because they were happy or whatever. Like, it's that dumb. It actually is that insubstantial. But it's like a known Nazi conspiracy theory or dog whistle. Pretty weird that it would be in this video.
On away. Investigation of their presence has led to questions about whether Israel was conducting espionage on U.S. soil. We're joined now by ABC's John Miller with an exclusive report this evening.
That's right, Elizabeth. This is a case that took the FBI and the CIA more than 2 months to sort out, while 5 Israelis waited in jail. It began when this woman was watching the Twin Towers burning from her apartment in New Jersey. She noticed 3 men on top of a van, posing for pictures with the towers burning in the background.
And I could see that they were like happy. You know, they didn't look shocked to me. You know, they didn't look shocked. I thought it was very strange.
The witness called police, who stopped the van hours later and arrested 5 men. All 5, it turns out, were...
Bosch, this is dumb. I don't disagree that it's dumb, but I need you to understand how weird it is that a country singer would have a public playlist, videos to make you think, and then the final video in that playlist is the dancing Israelis. Like, that,
were Israeli. They were turned over to the FBI. Sources tell ABC News, during a check of national security databases, some of the men were listed as having had connections with Israeli intelligence. At the FBI, that set off alarm bells. The FBI needed the answers to 3 important questions. Who were these men? What brought them to that parking lot on the morning of September 11th? And did they have any advance knowledge of what was going to happen that day?
I mean, I can skip to the end of the video and just say, no. The reason they were arrested was because after 9/11 happened, the police and the feds were going to investigate and interrogate anybody they could find. Think about it. 9/11 just happened. You know how, like, when you were a kid, your mom comes home and the vase in the living room is broken, and like you know that you're gonna get like interrogated the next time she sees. Okay, 9/11 had just happened. They would have arrested the fucking birds in the sky if they could. They picked up a ton of people, like an unbelievable number of people were arrested, detained, interrogated, some tortured after 9/11, often without a trial. And this group of them happened to be Israeli, and that's it. No other information was found.
The men said they were just taking pictures at the time. They said they worked for a company called...
Also, let's not pretend that half of left Twitter would not have done the same thing if they were there at that time.
...called Urban Moving. The FBI obtained a search warrant for the company's offices.
2 SUVs were filled up with between 9 and 12 boxes and computers.
Not long after the arrest...
Thank God it wasn't between 9 and 11.
The offices of Urban Moving were simply abandoned. Almost everything was left behind. In jail, the 5 Israelis were repeatedly interrogated and given lie detector tests. Stephen Gordon was their American lawyer.
They were asked questions if they had ever been approached by or hired by any non-United States intelligence community.
While there is still some debate among American intelligence officials, many investigators believe some of the men were part of an Israeli operation aimed at monitoring radical Islamic charities that support groups like Hamas, something lawyers for the 5 men and the Israeli government strongly deny.
These 5 Israelis were not involved in any intelligence operation in the United States. The story is simply false.
In the end, the FBI concluded there was no evidence that any of the 5 men had advance knowledge of the September 11th.
Yeah, no shit. This is like one of the dumber conspiracy theories. The only thing that I've heard that might be something like remotely approximating sensible is that these guys were Israeli and like hardline anti-Islamic. And when they saw the terror attacks and they saw that the second plane hit and concluded that it was a terror attack, they were thinking, oh shit, it's going to ramp up between the USA and like Arab people. And that's it. That's the only thing I've heard that sounds like it could be like a single drop of possible. And I don't even believe that, you know. But the conspiracy people want to push that they were like secret Mossad agents that caused 9/11 and like they were super top secret ultra agents of the Jews, but also they just started like dancing and hooping and hollering when it happened. Like ridiculous, completely ridiculous. The comments here are full of people. What a coincidence. This comment section gives me hope. Yeah, shit like that, you know. Okay, so that's in this guy's thing. We have some Jordan Peterson clips. Great stuff. More Jordan Peterson clips. More Jordan Peterson clips. Did he go on Joe Rogan? Or did he just get promoted by Joe Rogan? Promoted by Joe Rogan? Damn, that's pretty crazy, man. If only things were this easy for all musicians to just spring into existence out of nowhere and get all this attention. Yeah, it's been promoted by Matt Walsh. It's been promoted by, like, everyone. But it only has 1.9 million Spotify views. Wait, another one? He has 2 videos on the dancing Israelis here.
It has been more than 16 years.
Crazy how America can't even do anything to stop it. Shows you who holds the real power. Can't believe Oliver Anthony is based and red-pilled on them. Oy vey. Shut it down. Keck, only 4 comments, ... No need to shut it down. Look at the playlist again. I think it's 3. There can't be 3. There's no way. No, I don't think there's 3. That'd be too crazy. Listen, okay? Just 2 Nazi dog whistles in your videos to watch and think about playlist. Not 3, okay? Let's not go wild here. Well, under normal circumstances, I would be... Wait, there's another one on 9/11? I was just looking for the word Israel. Richard Gage reveals who is behind 9/11. Oh, no.
If I hired you as a consultant, I'm a bad guy, okay? And I want to take down World Trade Center. I hire you, and I say, listen, Richard, here's $1 million. I want you to be my project manager.
I think it'd be 10 million.
So I'll give you...
Wait, this is valuetainment. This is probably copyright. Hold on. Who's responsible? Tell me who did 9/11. Tell me. I'm just going to skip, and I'm just going to see, do they say Israel in the transcript? No, they do not say Israel in the transcript. Do we imply Israel? Wait, massive insurance payout.
There are people that say that there was a massive insurance payout that was here.
That's one...
I imagine the insurance companies did pay out. Yeah, I mean, there was a terrorist attack. That probably did happen. Twin Towers pretty expensive, I think.
With Osama bin Laden or Al Qaeda.
Let's
well, where did it lead? It led right to the Deutsche Bank. Alan Dulles.
I want you to finish your thought. You had a question for him.
So let's stay at the root of the tree that we're on right now. So Silverstein buys the WTC complex.
Oh no.
125 million, levers it up. Not unusual in commercial real estate, but certainly unusual basically on the size of this. And then he goes and gets the terrorist insurance. Do you have that?
The World Trade Center was previously attacked by terrorists. This wasn't the first time there was a World Trade Center bombing.
The WTC leaseholder buy terrorism insurance just before night.
This is by a fact checker. Just note that up at the top.
Can you zoom out so I can read it?
This
Tyler,
is Snopes fact check.
Yeah, just make it. That's fine. Make it zoom in a little bit. I'm sorry, the other way. Zoom in a little bit. Okay. So, long-standing urban legend hold that World Trade Center leaseholder Larry Livingston took out terrorism insurance just months before 9/11 attacks. Okay, go a little lower so we can read the rest. World Trade Center mixture. Okay, so the fact that they say mixture, that by itself, by Snopes, is a little disturbing. Okay.
What?
Mm-hmm. Go a little lower. Some of the most persistent contemporary legends about 9/11 attacks involve people supposedly benefiting foreknowledge of event, whether it's a group World Trade Center workers or fortuitously called in sick and escaped certain deaths that day, or investors who fortuitously bought put options on United American Airlines stock immediately before the attacks, thus profiting when the prices of the stock fell. Afterwards, American businessman Lemerson famously signed a 99-year lease on the World Trade Center complex in June of 2001, 2 months before the attacks. Okay, this is disturbing. So let me.
By the way, there's the insurance underwriting. Remember, the underwriters are called in on the claims.
Exactly.
Too,
that's
right?
the
underwriters underwrite the policy, but then the underwriters with muscle are called in on the big claims.
So there it is. Silverstein took out an insurance policy that
fortuitously
covered terrorism. After 9/11, Silverstein took the insurance.
Wait, so he just took out a lease on the Trade Center and he had terrorism insurance? Why would he not? The World Trade Center was already terroristed. He's taking out a lease on 2 massive buildings that have already been bombed.
Insurance company to court claiming
who didn't want to pay.
Silverstein is a Jew, I think. Oh, really? Silverstein, the New York real estate guy known as Silverstein, is Jewish? You're telling me that's a part of this conspiracy theory?
He should be paid double because there were 2 attacks. He won.
There it is.
Wow.
Notice how right now they're reading the story part of the Snopes claim, and then right below it, it says, while the story obviously contains elements of fact, it's also partly fiction. Most notably, the implication made via use of scare quotes around the word fortuitous that Silverstein's decision to purchase terrorism insurance just before 9/11 was no mere coincidence. Emma Gold, dude, you're going to get banned if you keep concern trolling.
Story obviously contains elements of fact. It's also partly fiction. Most notably, the implication made via the use of scare quotes around the world. Okay, that part, you don't have credibility with that one because that's just a meme that does well. Keep going.
What? Holy shit, dude. I wish I could think so. I genuinely feel like if I concentrated enough, I could explode people like this, their brains. Their IQ, I feel like I should be able to mentally dominate them and end them that easily. This is reality-breaking shit.
Going to, regarding building Sillet.
They're not even going on to read the Snopes rebuttal. Okay, I didn't even expect to go into this. I didn't think this would be part of the segment, okay? But all right, fine. So Oliver Anthony, the conservative astroturfed whatever the has a watch these to have a big brain think moment playlist where two of the videos are about the dancing Israelis and the another video is about how a Jew had foreknowledge of the 9/11 attacks and used it to scam out like an insurance company. Remember how 30 minutes ago people in chat were like, dude, he wouldn't be referring to the Confederacy there as a Southern country song, repeating conservative talking points, referring to rich men north of Richmond. There's no way, man. Silly Neil boy, the DC was the capital of the Union. Was? Well, the Union doesn't exist anymore. Or is Attaché when you need him? Yeah, he would be yelling at you guys so hard right now. Jesus Christ. There was also some JP and PUA shit at the beginning. Man, I can't. Yeah, we saw the JP shit. I feel like this whole thing is like, I wonder when this playlist was created. Last updated on August 4th, 2023. If I could somehow prove that this playlist was only created in the past couple of weeks, then that would be like the biggest bullet in the world to the idea of him being like real in any fashion. Is it possible for me to see when it was created? Because then it would literally be like, hey man, the conservative media is about to promote your song. Like, create your neo-Nazi dog whistle playlist. The 9-minute video on his channel has a lot of insight into the song that he recorded. It explains a lot about him. All right, let's look.
Well, hey, it's August the 7th, 2023. And
whoa, the accent for the song is fake, and he talks like a normal person. That's crazy.
As of this recording, tomorrow on Tuesday, Radio WV is going to upload the debut of Richmond North of Richmond. And it's going to be the first song to get out there that's been recorded on a real microphone and a real camera, and not just on my cell phone. And Lord willing, it's going to get some traffic, and maybe at least a few of you are going to drift your way over here. And
wow, and coincidentally, he had a intro. And by a remarkable coincidence, right before blowing up massively, like the day before blowing up massively, he after he's been putting out videos for 3 years now, only now, right before all the right-wing media consolidates to promote him, he puts a, hey guys, welcome to my channel video. Oh my god. No effort put into the psyops these days.
I thought I'd have kind of an intro.
According to this, the playlist was created on the 15th of September, 2022. Really? Wasn't that the same time that his Spotify was created? Didn't somebody earlier say that his Spotify was created around that time? Same date as the Twitter account? Wait. Where here does it confirm? Wait. Where? Playlist created on the 15th of September, 2022. Oliver Anthony. No. The Twitter was just created this month. But what about the... Didn't we see something else that was recent? The Spotify? We saw something that was from about that time. I don't remember if it was the Spotify. Maybe it was something else. His Instagram. That was it. His Instagram was created in September 2022. They both start with an S.
Production video on what it is I'm aiming to do here. So,
get people woke to the JQ?
Well, I've been playing a long time and singing.
By the way, I just want to, like, preemptively dismiss people's bad... His first Spotify release was in September 21st, 2022. Really? Wait, really, Thana? So his Insta and his first Spotify release and his YouTube page playlist that starts with the JQ thing all at the same time, and the SoundCloud? Yeah, September 21st, 2022. Yep. And on SoundCloud, yep. September 2022. Yep. That was it. That's when they got to him. That's 100%. That's when they got to him. He was, I'm calling it with almost guaranteed. He was an independent country music singer with some talent, but not much prestige. And at some point, he, among a bunch of other people, were contacted by a conservative dark money group saying essentially, hey, you know, we like what you're doing here and we want to promote you. So we need to get some stuff ready. And when the time comes, like, we're going to help you out with some like big production stuff, you know? But then they wait a bit because you never know for a fact whether or not somebody's actually got, you know, the stuff for it. They give him time to release some more music, you know, check out his sound. They don't want to produce something that sounds like actual garbage. But then when everything's ready and set, they hit it all off just a couple days ago. But when they initially approached him, when they started to get the ball rolling on his professionalization, you got to get your SoundCloud, you got to get your Spotify, you got to get your Instagram. That's huge. Instagram is huge. I bet you this guy didn't even know what Instagram was beforehand. We got to get you set up with all your professionals. Yeah, let's get you a SoundCloud, and you have a YouTube channel. He already had a YouTube channel right back here. It would have been sometime around here. In fact, Richmond's Gold, Where Corn Don't Grow, Ain't Got a Dollar, In Cover Virginia. This was the last album, wasn't it? This was the last album, and the one that everyone's playing right now is the single. Oh my God, so much blue in chat. You're all adding me. Hold on. All of his videos between September 2022 seem to be non-music related. Wait, that can't be real. This had to be before September 2022, right? When was it? Son of a bitch. This wave of songs happened. The first one was produced right before the time when everything else was made. Almost like this might have been the thing that baited. Yeah, 700K views. This was what got his approach. It might have been this video. He was making music. He put out this song, this video. He got the attention that led to him being approached by those groups, and they're the ones who had him set up all of those adjacent social media accounts. The Spotify and the SoundCloud and the Instagram and everything. He'd already made these songs, so he continued to put these out. They had him on the back burner to see if this was going to pan out, and it did. And then, knowing that he was about to get the drop with the single that was going to get all this promotion from people like Joe Rogan and Matt Walsh and everything, he puts out this video the day before it happens. Dude, it's so obvious. Holy shit. Oh my God. The dates all line up perfectly. All of them. Matt Walsh. Listen, I'm saying a lot of stuff, okay? Holy shit. Chat, genuinely curious, since I'm not usually this happens. Well, how would this be different from any other creator signing up with a big agency or distributing company? Because for one, this isn't a sign up with a distribution company alone. It's a sign up with conservative media, meaning that it's not like he's going to have a song just put on the radio, which would be normal. You know, that happens all the time. It's all these conservatives are going to come together to use him as part of the culture war. He's not being produced purely to make money for a studio or whatever. He's being put out there so he can promote conservative positions. That lining up with the fact that it was the same time he created a playlist which begins with the JQ video. Like, think about it for a second. The fact that the Spotify, SoundCloud, and Instagram were all made at the same time is a pretty strong indication that he was doing so under the direction of a production company, one aligned with the conservatives who would later promote him, right? So why then would he also create a YouTube playlist which opens with dancing Israeli conspiracy theories? Like, really put on your thinking hats for a second. This is some sinister shit right here. This is like some actual, like, deep, like, I acknowledge the fact that I'm engaging in a degree of conspiracism here, though I genuinely think it lines up really well with the information that we have. Like, it's very obvious that he's AstroTurf, that you'd have to be an idiot to not think that, knowing how stuff like this works. But to have all of those professional mediums put out at the same time the JQ playlist is put out. Vosh, I made an edit to his wiki and it was already removed. It might be considered like a contentious topic right now. And gets like pre-approved or whatever, like any changes get submitted. I don't think the Radio WV thing is necessarily a conservative plant, though it might be. This is the most wild shit I've heard from Vosh since watching at the start of the Ukraine invasion, most unhinged Vosh in years. Wait, how is this unhinged? At the start of the Ukraine invasion, everything I said was right. Are you saying unhinged in a different definition that I'm familiar with? Because, like, I was right then, so... By unhinged, you mean, like, cool and red-pilled? They mean autistic? Well, I'll take that. I'll own up to that, you know. You do have some Mulders in chat? Yeah, we have some Confederates. God damn, dude. I just wanted to talk about how I felt like his song wasn't... Like, his song was just like Reagan conservatism. It wasn't, like, even remotely pro-poor or pro-populist or whatever. I didn't think that we would go down this rabbit hole, genuinely. If anything, like, I think you guys should take this with a degree of hope, because it should be a reminder to you of how much money and effort conservatives have to put out behind the scenes to match our natural cultural influence. This does not exist in the left. There are no left-leaning artists who get quietly approached by, like, dark money leftist PACs that, like, quietly build behind the scenes before getting this gigantic simultaneous drop of attention that's, like, planned and coordinated by everyone, pretending that it's some kind of grassroots phenomena. That doesn't happen, you know? Our cultural relevance is just a product of us being human beings. Conservatives aren't, so they have to do shit like this. Oliver Anthony says that he's dead center politically. Yeah, because he's been paid to say that. From Billboard. Richmond, north of Richmond. Viral hitmaker Oliver Anthony, 5 things you need to know. Already got the articles lined up just a few days after the song comes out. That's crazy. Is that normally how it works? Because I'm pretty sure that the song had only been out for like 2 days when this article was written. Can you really say viral hitmaker that quickly? Don't you normally wait a little bit? Even that song that took Twitter by storm, that Planet of the Bass song with like the 90s Europop, that took like a couple of weeks before everyone acknowledged it as like an unambiguous across the board bop. I don't know if you can in 2 days just go like, yeah, man, here's the viral hitmaker. Like, maybe, I guess. To do that and to get an interview, maybe if it was way bigger. I'm just saying, 2-day turnaround on a musician who was not known at all before, and to get an interview and a response? Like, people email me and ask to come on stream, and that, even in the best case scenario, takes multiple days to set up. But he was able to get an interview put out within 2 days? It's a fluff piece for sure. Yeah. This was pre-coordinated. They probably had this written and like interviewed beforehand, and were only to release it on the condition that the song does well and doesn't like spectacularly flop. On the assumption that it does what they think it's going to do because they're paying to have it done. Yeah, it was done weeks beforehand. He hired a PR agency. This isn't uncommon. He didn't hire a PR agency. He was approached by a monolithic conservative dark money network that operated as a PR agency. Huge difference. It's normal for artists to get PR work done. It's not normal for a conservative bloc to astroturf artists to promote the culture war. You're writing a lot of lore here, Vosh? No, I don't think... Everything that I just said in the past couple of minutes is straightforwardly true. Can you explain conservative dark money like Daily Wire for new viewers who aren't familiar with it? Oh yeah, just so people understand, when I say conservative dark money groups, that's not conspiracy. They exist and everyone knows they do. This is why conservatives have fought so hard to remove transparency from financial contributions, both to political causes and politicians directly. It is not, like, it is a fact of the world that conservatives would be absolutely hosed in the culture war if it weren't for the fact that they spend hundreds of millions of dollars every year circulating to artificially promote their causes. This just doesn't exist on the left. It doesn't have to. This the conspiracy theory. There are 3 conspiracies that are overlapping here, okay? One of them is the conservative dark money plant shit, which is true. One of them is the music industry plant, which is true. And the third one is this weird shit with the JQ stuff on the YouTube playlist. Because I don't think he put that up himself. See, I'm not saying that this guy's necessarily stupid. I'm not saying that he's necessarily, like, unaware of the dynamic or the discourse. But it does seem really weird to me that right around the time that he had to professionalize because he was approached by the conservatives, he also made, like, JQ shit in the playlist. That's really strange. There are only 2 possibilities. One of which is that he is a JQer. He is one of the people who sincerely believes that the Israel did 9/11. And here's the thing, by the way, okay? Here's something that you have to keep in mind. Considering the fact that he's astroturfed, the conservatives that were giving him money had to vet that playlist. Do you really think they would put a bunch of money down on this guy and promotion of him if he was just putting out, like, crackpot Nazi shit on his channel? And they would have just gone like, you know, well, we can't do anything about that. No, they have complete editorial control. They could have told him to change that. They're making or breaking his career. They could have told him to not or to do that. So they either allowed him to do it or they told him to do it. They either allowed him to put up Jewish question 9/11 conspiracies or they told him to. It's one or the other. Just remember that as we speak right now, the DeSantis campaign is hurriedly firing 17 22-year-old neo-Nazis that they've hired to do internet meme promotion for them. So Nazis are all over the Republican Party and their dark money advocacy. That is not a conspiracy theory. That is just true. Do we know what group funded him? We're probably not going to know all the groups that funded him, but we might one day know some. Oh, never mind. It's all coming together. His financial backer, Jason Howerton, who, quote, discovered him, used to work for The Blaze and now owns a website SEO and content agency. All right, there we go. The Blaze is a Nazi network, by the way. The one guy who got fired for sexually assaulting his coworkers, I forget his name, is explicitly a Nazi and post-Nazi shit on Twitter. Take from that what you will. What's more, this guy would have been executive director of Blaze Media when that guy was still working there. Elijah Schaffer, that's it. This guy would have been executive director over Eliza Schaffer, the Nazi, when it was operating unambiguously in promotion of that Vosh Vindicated. I was already right. It isn't always this, overt or whatever. So Oliver Anthony is anti-Semitic. He's a conservative. Of course he is. The nicest conservatives get to Jews is thinking that they will all burn in the rapture when they retake the Holy Land.
I really started to write my own music back in 2021. Things were obviously not good for a lot of people, and in some respects I was one of those people, and I had wasted a lot of nights getting high and getting drunk, and
oh yeah, I remember this.
Now this is the story all about how several years back I got an email from some shady people with a lot of power who said you can make a ton of money towing the conservative party line and we'll make sure that happens for you. And I said, nah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be beholden to anybody but me. And I refused that offer, and the years went by and it's become very clear who the people were who just did not refuse that money. And it's actually wildly obvious and it's kind of sad.
I had sort of gotten to a point in my life where even things that I did care about didn't mean anything to me anymore. And, I mean, this is certainly no Dr. Phil episode, but I found an outlet in this music. And I started uploading a couple songs, and, Ain't Got a Dollar, I uploaded spring of last year, and then Rich Man's Gold, Cobwebs and Cocaine, and the list goes on from there. And there's probably been about a dozen or so originals that I've put out just off my cell phone. And I started getting messages from people saying how much the music was helping them, and with their struggles in their lives, and that they'd been sitting on the back porch listening to me for the last hour. And it just I don't know, it really gave me a purpose. It made me feel like I wasn't just wasting my time. And so anyway,
I really like this bit from his Billboard.com article, considering what we know about the whole JQ shit in him. He says he's dead center politically. In a video, Anthony discusses his now viral song, saying, it touches base on human trafficking and the atrocities that, I'll say this, I sit pretty dead center down the aisle of politics, and I always have. I remember as a kid the conservatives wanting war and me not understanding that. I remember a lot of the controversies when the left took office, and it seems like both sides serve the same master, and that master is not someone of any good to the people of this country. Really takes in a very specific meaning in the context of what we know about him. If you want more proof of the Astroturfing, by the way, right here at the bottom, it says, the video is also gaining traction through various media personalities, including Rich, Joe Rogan, and Matt Walsh, as well as Barstool Sports and conservative outlet Breitbart posting it on social media. Again, all of this being done right after the song releases, I guarantee you, so much of this was planned before. Humans had nothing to do with this. The behavior or opinions or positions of people who listen to music were never relevant to anything that is happening right now. Everything that is happening was always going to happen. With enough money, anything can happen. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters.
Kind of in the last roller coaster of the last year, I have decided that this is going to be what I do. At all costs, no matter what, I'm going to create. I'm going to write, create, and produce as much original, authentic music as I can, in the hopes that it'll at least help somebody out there that needs it. And I know we're living in dark times, and I know that this is really just the beginning of what's to come. And there's a lot of beautiful people in this world, and I meet a lot of awesome people every day. Even back when I did work in the factory, you know, I sing about selling my soul, and I am a ginger, so I don't know if I have a soul to sell or not. But I met a lot of good people even back then, working third shift.
For what it's worth, I'm looking through the Spotify country section, and I can't find him. Country playlists, nope. New releases in country, nope. Country hits, nope. Country summertime, nope. New country, nope. Unless I'm missing it. I mean, #1 in the world, right? Am I missing it? Try racist country? Okay. This is the reason why they're promoting. So keep in mind, in terms of like artificial popularity as well, that when it comes to the amount of money that's being spent on this project, on this like association, on the amount that's being sort of leveraged on it, it's also basically trivial to bot any outcomes they want. You know what I mean? Like, you can't bot spam something to the billions because websites can detect that pretty easily these days, but especially on places like Twitter, it's incredibly easy to bot because Twitter is like a haven for bots right now. It's really difficult to like know authentically what is or is not popular. I'd be willing to bet, though, that by far the biggest expense of this gigantic like plant was not the promotion, but rather the paychecks to the people behind the scenes. This is like a byproduct of bureaucracy and this like shadowy dark money approach the conservatives take. It burns through a lot of money, largely because the monsters that run the process behind the scenes take big cuts. You know, they take big paychecks. Donors Trust brought in over $1 billion, bringing its total net assets to $1.5 billion. Most of that money came from 2 large donations. 2 anonymous 425 million donations gave dark money conservative groups a massive haul. That's cool. Love that. Super cool how it's legal for this to just happen quietly without getting to know any of the details or what it's used for, or, you know, who gave the money. Just $500 million in donation to conservative dark money groups. Just whatever. Elon Musk alone has assets that are like 1/5 of the U.S. discretionary budget for a year. You know, just one ultra-wealthy person can essentially control an entire country's media apparatus. Seriously, if you combine the the wealth and the budget of every media apparatus in this country, ABC, NBC, you know, all of these news sites or whatever, everything, 1 or 2 billionaires are capable of controlling everything, like unambiguously, if they wanted to.
12 hours, 6 days a week, and now I spend a lot of time on job sites, and I meet people from all across the country. And the universal thing I see is that it's like no matter how hard they push and how much effort they put into whatever it is they're doing, they just can't quite get ahead because the dollar's not worth enough. It's being overtaxed. People are just sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so, yeah, I want to be
a rightist billionaire literally started and funded a free newspaper in Israel and swung the country like 5 points, right? Yeah, it's capital. This is, I've said this before, but this is why American conservative talking points became international so quickly. And it's because the most international force on earth is capital. Regular people, proletarians, don't have international influence, but the billionaires do. And because billionaires are overwhelmingly right-wing, at least in accordance with their own economic interests, their talking points spread effortlessly across borders.
Voice for those people. And not just them, just humans in general, and some of the struggles and the battles that they go through. And there'll be a lot of positive songs on here too, and there already are some, you know, 90-some Chevy and Between You and Me, and I mean, even Ain't Got a Dollar. Those are going to be fun songs, and there'll be plenty more like that. But I appreciate you taking the time to listen, and hopefully you like what you hear. My email is oliveranthonymusic@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. I'll speak a few minutes on Richmond, north of Richmond, and then we'll hang this thing up. I don't want to chatter too long to you, but Richmond, north of Richmond, it touches on my time in Western North Carolina, working in the factory. It talks about some people that live north of Richmond, Virginia, who I'm sure you're very well aware of, who make life a little more difficult than it should be. It touches base on human trafficking and...
No, to all the people who are insisting, dude, he totally just means D.C., like literally just the politicians in D.C., and it's definitely not a veiled reference to the Mason-Dixon line and the North-South split, which would totally be unprecedented in Southern country music, by the way. You know, I wonder why, like, he continues to use the ambiguous phrase. Like, oh, yeah, dude, there's no way this right-wing backed Southern conservative would ever make a positive allusion to the Confederacy. That never happens.
The atrocities that, I'll say this. I sit pretty dead center down the aisle on politics, and always have. I remember...
He was told to say this, by the way. If you go out to, like, Virginia, or, in fact, you talk to, like, most people in America, especially people who are opinionated to sing about shit like Epstein, they would never say they're center of the aisle. They're very opinionated. Like, seriously, think for a second the kind of American who would make a song complaining about welfare queens and Epstein and make veiled allusions to, like, Confederate pride, but then he's like, oh, no, yeah, I'm a centrist. No one talks like that. This is a disingenuous illusion that was promoted largely on social media as a way of masking conservative talking points, but you don't arrive at behavior like that unless you've been coached to. That centrist bullshit, the belief that, like the deferring to centrism to cover for conservatism, that is something that people coach themselves into, because it's better optics than to admit that you're a conservative, you know? The American far right perfectly encapsulated in a single moment. Basically, I'm just fed up with the fact that I'm cisgendered, I'm a white male, and I lean right towards the Republican side, said Fears, 28, wearing a pin of the 3rd SS Panzer Division Totenkampf of the Waffen-SS, and I get demonized if I don't accept certain things. To be clear, this is one of the 3 white supremacists arrested for attempted murder at Spencer's rally, interviewed 5 hours before arrest. Classic. Why shouldn't leftists do that? Because leftist talking points are good and conservative talking points are demonic. In order to hide their demonic positions, they have to lie about being centrist. There's not really any way to promote conservative talking points without revealing what an inhuman monster you are, so you have to do this whole, like, oh no, I'm actually center-leaning, and, like, that's the reason why it's only conservatives who do that. Like Dave Rubin shit, you know? It's all them who does this. It's not us. We don't do that. We're not anti-life. Our positions are not innately repugnant to the human soul.
As a kid, the conservatives wanting war and me not understanding that, and I remember a lot of the controversies when the left took office, and it seems like, you know, both sides serve the same master, and that master is not someone of any good to the people of this country.
I like how he's saying this while looking evil. You know what I mean? Like,
you know, both sides serve the same master, and that master is not someone of any good to the people of this country. But I think one of the worst things that a human being can do...
So again, 2 quick questions. If he actually believes that, why did his song... Okay, yeah, man, I hate to pull this around because I don't think that Epstein posting is anti-Semitism, even though Epstein was Jewish. But, like, the only thing he mentioned that could possibly be an allusion to both sides serving the same master was Epstein. And between that and all of the shit with, like, the dancing Israelis in the playlist, I don't know, man.
Is take advantage of a child. And I can't begin to conceptualize...
Why did he say that? Wait, so he's saying it's evil to abuse a child. I agree. Why did he say it so evil? What the
And I can't begin to conceptualize.
Oh, wait, he was that far.
Is take advantage of a child.
It's just so unsettling the way it's like he's like, how do you sound weird and evil while saying that?
And I can't begin to conceptualize what has to happen to someone in order for them to think that's okay. And I think I drew the line on being quiet when I started to see that becoming normalized. And I'll leave that.
What? Epstein was normalized? I thought he was dead. What does that mean? No, excuse me, sir. Knock. What did you mean by that? Oh, this is about trans. He's talking about trans people, guys. He's talking about degeneracy. The only possible thing a right-wing person could be referring to when they're saying the normalization of the abuse of children these days is kids transitioning.
At that.
But notice how he's very carefully phrasing what he's saying. Notice how even though if you have a brain, all of the positions he's taking here are conservative ones, even far-right ones, the way he's saying it is done with this illusion of centrism. Like, do you really think that a Southern country singer would dance this hard around saying, I don't think kids should transition, unless he was deliberately told to hide his power level? Seriously, think about it. No person talks like this unless they've been coached to. The ambiguity is deliberate.
In the last part of the song, it touches on suicide rates and really on mental health and depression and there's no reason why young men or women in this country should be committing suicide.
Okay.
There's obviously a problem, you know. People talk about epidemics in this country and the homelessness and the drug use and the lack of skilled labor and the suicide rates. Those things aren't problems. Those are symptoms of a bigger universal problem.
I think they're problems.
And a lot of people know that. It's just common sense, but we don't talk about it enough. And maybe that is the problem today is we just don't talk enough common sense anymore. You know, we've kind of went a little off the deep end.
Again, what the f*** is he saying? This is coached. I don't think he's reading from a script, but this is coached. No American talks like this. Nobody. Not a single one. Americans are genetically opinionated. They do not have opinions on shit like Epstein and suicide rates, and then talk around it like in this stiff, unnatural, I'm not going to explicitly say anything because I'm deliberately trying to equate these, nobody talks like this.
So yeah. I guess I'll leave it at that.
No, you're not. There's 2 minutes more.
I hope wherever you are in the world listening to this and whatever it is that you're trying to do with your life, I hope that you succeed at it. And I hope if you take anything away from me and the music I write, it's that this life is a beautiful opportunity. And
I hate the vague populism. It allows people to draw whatever conclusions they want. Yeah, no, that's the point. So my personal opinion is that he's being promoted first and foremost as a wedge in the culture war, and second as a Nazi pipeline. I know that sounds extreme, but think about it, okay? The conservative backers who are promoting him either told him to or allowed him to put multiple Nazi-tier Jewish 9/11 conspiracy theory videos in a playlist that he created at the same time he was told to create his Instagram, his Spotify, his SoundCloud, whatever else, you know? Those were put in there, and whether they were allowed or told to be put in there, I think the reason for this is because conservatives are doubling down on the only base of people they have left as a reliable voter demographic. See, it's getting harder and harder to be a conservative while being educated, because conservatives have been going more and more conspiratorial. Even suburbs go blue now. The Conservative Party is relying primarily on rural voters, which is why I think we're going to see more and more of a shift towards insincere, yuck rural populism as a vector for conservative activism, which may or may not work. I mean, more and more people move into cities every year, so I don't know if that's like a good lasting strategy, though I guess Republicans only have to destroy democracy once in order to like win, you know? They only have to win once. But I think that like this is an effort to try to like radicalize that population. There are a lot of super ultra far right like rural people. It just doesn't get talked about that much because we have this patronizing attitude towards the rural folk, where it's like their conservatism is all this like folksy Appalachian, hardworking, broke your back, you know, can't afford healthcare. And a lot of it is that, to be sure. But let's be fair, a lot of those rural folk are horrible human beings, okay? Education, racial diversity, proximity to others, these things make people better. They make better human beings. They make people who are more empathetic and considerate. Ignorance, isolation, you know, these things do not improve human. There's not some fundamental human experience that is being enhanced by inhaling 8 gallons of coal dust a day, living in like the West Virginian mountains or whatever. That doesn't make people like more fundamental and down to earth and shit. Okay, so I think that like, you know, obviously as leftists, our goal should be to raise everyone up, to bring everyone to par as much as is possible. But we have to recognize what's being dealt with here, right? The 2 blocks of conservative voters are as follows: wealthy people who are acting in their class interest, and rural people who may or may not be poor. There are plenty of rural people who are doing well, by the way. There are lots of rural people who have like long-standing held wealth in like land or in farms or in crops. There are lots of people in rural areas that are basically just like ultra suburb maxing, where they just live in a gigantic mansion out there in the you know, in the sticks. There is a lot of that. It's not the majority of people out there, but it does exist, and it does affect the class character of rural areas. So just keep that in mind. Why do you think over the course of 20 years, Tucker Carlson went from a snazzy little Princeton boy with a bow tie to a guy who pretends that he does woodworking and has his own shop in a wood shop? You guys know how when Tucker Carlson was still a part of Fox News, he was like, yeah, here's my new Tucker Carlson show. Take a look at my Tucker Carlson show. It's here. Here I am, Tucker Carlson, an ultra-wealthy heir who wore a bow tie on TV, who was never in my life developed a callus on my fingers, in flannel in a wood shop. Uh-huh. Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's not wearing socks. Look, he's wearing... If you wore loafers with no socks in a wood shop, you would just die instantly. Your ankles would immediately snap in half and you would fall over. There's been this effort in right-wing, I guess, like, populist messaging to shift more towards, like, conservative, rural aesthetics over time. Does that make sense? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? How the right has tried more and more to do this, like, folksy down-home shit. They've been leaning into it because they've lost the suburbs. And they're probably not going to win it back because people in suburbs are educated. And that just does not gel with conservatism, you know? Yeah, it ain't honest, but it's easy work. Exactly, SDL, exactly. Yeah, the perfectly clean, never used wood shop. There's no sawdust on the floor. How you gonna have a wood shop with no sawdust everywhere? Sawdust everywhere is like the thing wood shops have, you know? Sorry, I know this segment has gone on for a literal hour and a half, but I feel like we've learned a lot today. We've learned a lot about dark money conservative culture war plants. We've learned a little bit about the music industry. We've learned a lot about the either complacency with or willingness to directly push neo-Nazi conspiracy theories concerning 9/11 as part of a pipeline to pull rural, you know, music listeners over towards far-right politics in a more deliberate fashion, to take the alienation and discontent and anomie experienced by many rural people who are pretty economically on average, and turn that against, well, Jews or trans people or liberal elites or whatever else. A long-standing conservative process, for sure. We've learned a little bit about this guy's creepy stare. And we learned about how conservative messaging is going to shift, and has shifted to a large extent, to appeal more towards rural voters and also to Latin people. I guarantee you that a big focus in 2024 is going to be a battle over Hispanic people in Arizona, in Florida, and in Texas, because they represent a huge portion of this country's demography in those areas, and also the conservatives are kind of banking on them continuing to shift in their favor, which may or may not be the case. Biden is not popular with them, and Kamala Harris isn't either. I think Kamala Harris was a really bad, like, side pick. Okay, you know how Kamala Harris was picked because she's a black woman? Let's be real. Obviously, Joe Biden is a 500-year-old ancient white man who's, like, did the crime bill. Of course they're showing that up. Damn, man. If it was a Latin woman VP, I genuinely think that 2020 would have been a sweep and 2024 would be in the bag. I don't understand why there's this... Oh, sorry, I hit the unpause button. I don't understand why the poll was towards, like... No, not AOC. Guys, I'm really sorry, but I don't think Southern Latin people consider AOC to be one of them. She's too New York. I mean a Latin woman. Like, Latin woman. You know? I mean somebody who would wear a cross necklace to the vice presidential debate stage and would accuse her opponent of being a demon if he, like, blinked too fast or something, okay? I mean a proper, like, Catholic grandma. That's what I'm talking about, okay? Mexican grandma, okay? This is the VP that Joe Biden needs to take if he wants to win in 2024. This lady. I don't know if she knows what the internet is, but if somebody could get her up to speed, if she, seriously, just put her in a pantsuit and it's over for the GOP, unironically. Literally, though, mi abuela, absolutely. It's time. 1,000 years Democrat rule. Perfect. Okay? Honest to God, this guy would win as president too. But her, right here, it's done. 1,000,000 years Democrat rule. This is how she'll handle the Republicans. Yeah, can you imagine if she was in that press room in Iraq when George Bush was there, rather than like the guy who threw the shoes and missed? They would have been like homing shoes. Chancellor strike, pow pow. That'd make for a good VP debate. Yeah, just launching them at high speeds. La Chancia beats any rhetoric. Yeah, it's literally just the Hispanic grandma equivalent of The Rock. It is actually that strategy, except they actually do it. Is it Chancia, not Chancia? Chancla, thank you. Chancla. Mike Pence being wailed on by a shoe, or whoever Donald Trump's new VP is going to be. Who's Donald Trump's VP going to be? It can't be Ron DeSantis. There's too much beef there. I just want it to be RFK Jr. I desperately want it to be RFK Jr. There's nothing in the world that I want more. Carrie Lake is a likely, yeah. It can't be MTG, I don't think. I think that Donald privately would think, honestly, man, okay, it sounds pretty bad. I actually think the main reason Donald wouldn't want MTG is because she's ugly. I mean that sincerely. Carrie Lake is, you know, a pretty lady. MTG looks kind of freakish, and I really genuinely don't think that Donald Trump would want to be seen around and being friendly with a woman who wasn't, like, a model, you know? Like, he wants them to be eye candy. Lauren Boebert, then? Lauren Boebert, I think, would be more likely, but I don't think she has what it takes. Most people agree he'd pick Nikki Haley. Dude, imagine if he picked... Who's that freaky lady whose face is full of Botox? She did, like, the Nazi shit before. Laura Loomer. It's okay. You can make fun of her appearance. She's a Nazi. Is she a Nazi? I think she's a white nationalist. I don't know if she's a Nazi, but most white nationalists are Nazis. She's 29? Jesus! Well, it's not going to be her. Get it off the screen? Yeah, I don't like it either. Remember... all evil people are ugly, and all good people are pretty. The Roald Dahl one? Yeah. Yeah, this one. It's not literally like the Nazi phrenology shit of, like, ugly people are morally worse and pretty people are morally better. It's that I think nice people genuinely do, like, emanate a kind of pleasantness that you can identify because they're respectful of others' feelings, and it's something that you can usually figure out. Not always, obviously, of course, but, like, how often do we see people who, I guess, like, in a flat sort of like mathematical sense are conventionally attractive, but they just look evil and they're all Republicans? Like, it happens all the time. A lot of it is a perception thing. Guys, we got to move on. We got to move on. Okay? Hold on. We got to move on.